A woman who always spends time alone, you might think, is someone who simply enjoys her solitude, relishes her own company, and takes peace in moments of quiet reflection. But when you look deeper, when you truly understand the complexities of the human mind and the vast range of emotions that define us as individuals, you start to realize that a woman like that, a one who consistently chooses to be alone, can be a force to be reckoned with. Now, let me take a step back. I'm not talking about the occasional moment of solitude that we all need to recharge and reset. I'm talking about the woman who isolates herself so consistently, so intentionally, that the very idea of being alone becomes part of her identity. She's not waiting for anyone to come save her. She's not looking for validation. She is forging her own path, cutting through the world with a will that's unmatched. At first glance, this kind of woman may appear as though she's simply detached, emotionally distant, or perhaps even cold. But that would be a mistake. That would be underestimating her power. Because deep within her solitude lies the seed of something far more dangerous than anyone realizes. A quiet strength, an unshakable resolve that builds over time. You see, there is something about spending extended periods alone that forces a person to confront themselves. When no one else is around to distract you, when there's no one else to lean on, you're left with nothing but the depths of your own mind. And that, my friends, is where real power begins. The danger doesn't lie in her being alone. No. The danger is in what happens when a woman becomes so accustomed to being alone that she no longer depends on anyone for validation, for comfort, or for support. She becomes self-sufficient. She becomes untouchable. And that is when people start to fear her. You see, society loves to tell us that we need each other. We need our families, our friends, our partners. The idea of independence is often sold as a myth, something we're not supposed to fully embrace. If you spend too much time alone, society might say you're selfish, detached, or even unworthy. But the truth is, solitude doesn't make you weaker. It makes you stronger. It teaches you how to stand on your own 2 feet, how to be resourceful, and how to survive in a world that will constantly try to tear you down. When you're always alone, you develop an internal compass that guides you. A voice inside that grows louder and clearer with each passing day. You learn to trust your own instincts, your own decisions. You stop seeking approval from others because you no longer need it. The approval of others becomes irrelevant when you know exactly who you are and what you're capable of. But this transformation doesn't come without its own set of consequences. A woman who spends too much time alone often becomes disconnected from the world around her, from the people who might still want to be a part of her life. She builds walls around herself, walls that become increasingly difficult to break down. At some point, those walls might become so strong that she forgets what it feels like to let someone in, to open her heart and to trust again. She becomes a fortress, impenetrable and solid. And that, my friends, is dangerous. Because when you become a fortress, you stop needing anyone. You stop needing anything. You stop caring about the opinions of others. You become a force of nature, unstoppable, untouchable, and dangerous to anyone who dares to cross your path. The thing that makes this woman so dangerous is not just her strength. It's her ability to remain calm under pressure, to stay composed, even in the most difficult of situations. She has learned over time how to navigate the chaos of life with a quiet, unwavering confidence. Nothing rattles her. She's seen the worst of what life can throw at her, and yet she remains unbroken. That is a woman who has found power in her solitude. But let's not confuse strength with indifference. The woman who spends her time alone may appear cold, but it's not that she doesn't care. It's that she's learned to protect herself from the emotional roller coaster that comes with relying on others. She has chosen to take control of her own life, to steer the ship in the direction she wants to go without the need for anyone else to guide her. And in doing so, she becomes a master of her own fate. Now, this doesn't mean that she doesn't need anyone. Of course, everyone needs connection. No one is truly an island. But the difference lies in her ability to choose when and how she connects with others. She no longer depends on others for her happiness. She doesn't let anyone else define her worth. She defines it for herself. And that, my friends, is what makes her so dangerous. When you stop allowing others to dictate your life, you become a force to be reckoned with. You become unpredictable. And the unpredictability of a woman like this is what makes her a wild card. You never know what she's thinking, what she's planning, or what she's capable of. And that unpredictability can be terrifying. The thing about a woman who always spends time alone is that she has had ample time to reflect on herself, her choices, and the direction she wants her life to go. There's no rushing her decisions. She takes her time, weighs her options, and moves with purpose. She knows that life is short, and she refuses to waste a single moment on anything or anyone that doesn't serve her. She has learned that true power lies in the ability to make decisions for herself, free from the pressure of outside influences. And this brings us to another key point. The fact that this woman has learned the art of saying no. When you're alone, you have the space to evaluate your life, to consider what's truly important. You don't have to say yes to everything that comes your way. You don't have to take on obligations that don't align with your goals. You don't have to make sacrifices for others when it doesn't benefit you. This woman has mastered the ability to draw boundaries, to protect her peace, and to preserve her energy for the things that matter most. She doesn't give her time to anyone who isn't worth it. She doesn't let people waste her energy with meaningless conversations or superficial connections. She is selective, she is discerning, and because of that, she becomes a person of value. Her time is precious and she knows it. She doesn't squander it on people or situations that don't contribute to her growth or happiness. This kind of woman doesn't need a man, a partner, or a group of friends to feel complete. She has learned how to complete herself. She has learned how to fill the empty spaces in her life with her own passions, her own ambitions, and her own desires. And in doing so, she becomes a force of nature that no one can tame. It's not that she doesn't enjoy the company of others, she does. But she doesn't need it. She has found peace within herself, a peace that no one can take away. And that is what makes her so dangerous. She no longer depends on anyone for her sense of self-worth. She is confident in who she is, and that confidence radiates from her in a way that attracts respect, admiration, and even fear. A woman who always spends time alone knows her own strength. She has walked through the fire of life and emerged stronger on the other side. She has faced the challenges, the heartbreak, the disappointments, and she has overcome them all. She has built herself into a woman who is unshakable, untouchable, and absolutely unstoppable. So don't be fooled by her quiet demeanor. Don't mistake her solitude for weakness. Because the woman who spends time alone is a woman who has learned the art of self-reliance, who has discovered the power of her own mind, and who has built an inner strength that is unmatched. And that, my friends, is the kind of woman who is dangerous. Dangerous to anyone who dares to underestimate her, and dangerous to anyone who stands in her way. You might think you can break her, but you can't. You might think you can control her, but you won't. She's beyond your reach, beyond your influence, and beyond your understanding. She is a force of nature, a woman who has found power in her solitude, and she will not be stopped. When you encounter a woman like this, you are not dealing with just another person. You are dealing with someone who has forged her own path, who has built herself from the ground up, and who has no intention of slowing down. She is the kind of woman who will rise above the noise, rise above the chaos, and rise above any obstacle that dares to stand in her way. And that, my friends, is why the woman who always spends time alone is not just powerful, she is dangerous, because she knows who she is. And that is a woman who cannot be defeated. A woman who spends significant time alone develops an unshakable confidence and inner strength. Over time, she learns to trust her own instincts, make decisions independently, and rely solely on herself, making her a powerful force capable of navigating life's challenges without depending on others. Her solitude fosters emotional resilience, allowing her to confront pain, disappointment, and hardship without being broken. By not relying on others for validation, she becomes a self-defined individual who values her own worth, making her untouchable to external pressures. The time spent alone makes her selective about where she invests her energy and time. She draws firm boundaries, protects her peace, and becomes highly discerning about the relationships and situations she engages with. This autonomy makes her unpredictable and potentially dangerous to those who underestimate her strength and purpose. A woman who spends a significant amount of time alone develops an intrinsic sense of self-sufficiency that is rare in the modern world. We live in a society that often encourages dependency on others. Whether it's emotional support from friends and family, financial support from a partner, or validation from the people around us. But a woman who chooses solitude as a constant companion learns to rely solely on herself. She becomes her own rock, her own anchor in a world that is constantly shifting and unpredictable. The value of this self-sufficiency cannot be overstated. It's not just about being able to handle things on your own. It's about cultivating an internal sense of power that is unshaken by external circumstances. When a woman spends time alone, she is forced to confront herself. There are no distractions, no one else to lean on. She has to face her fears, her insecurities, and her doubts head on. But in doing so, she builds an incredible resilience. She learns how to overcome obstacles without the safety net of others. It's in this solitude that she discovers the depth of her own strength. She learns to trust her instincts and decisions, even when the world around her might be telling her otherwise. And the more time she spends alone, the more she becomes attuned to her own thoughts and feelings, and the more she realizes that she has everything she needs within herself to navigate whatever comes her way. This type of self-sufficiency is not about rejecting help or isolating oneself from the world. It's about realizing that she doesn't need anyone to validate her worth or tell her what to do. She has the tools within herself to move through life with grace and confidence. She knows how to handle her emotions, process her thoughts, and make decisions based on what feels right for her, not what others expect of her. There's an incredible freedom in this kind of independence. She no longer lives for the approval or validation of others because she has already given that to herself. And that sense of self-empowerment is something that cannot be easily taken away. When you build your strength on the foundation of self-sufficiency, nothing external can shake you. You become unshakable because you know who you are and what you're capable of. You are not swayed by the opinions of others, nor are you dependent on them to fill the voids in your life. You have learned how to find fulfillment within yourself, and that makes you stronger than most. This self-sufficiency also comes with a level of emotional resilience. A woman who is used to being alone knows that life is full of ups and downs. She understands that things don't always go as planned and that setbacks and disappointments are part of the journey. But because she has developed the ability to rely on herself, she is able to face adversity with a calm, steady resolve. She doesn't crumble in the face of hardship. Instead, she rises to the challenge, confident that she can handle whatever comes her way. She may grieve, she may feel pain, but she will never be broken by it, because she knows that she is capable of rebuilding herself. Moreover, this self-sufficiency doesn't mean that she is without emotions or that she is indifferent to the world around her. It simply means that she has learned to manage those emotions and not allow them to control her. She knows when to seek support from others, but she also knows when to turn inward for strength. She doesn't seek external validation because she has already validated herself. This deep sense of inner strength allows her to navigate the world with confidence and poise, no matter what challenges she may face. As time goes on, this self-sufficiency becomes more ingrained in her identity. It becomes a part of who she is, a core aspect of her being. She no longer feels the need to prove herself to others because she knows her worth. She has spent enough time alone to understand that her value is not determined by the approval or rejection of others. Her worth is intrinsic. She doesn't measure herself against the standards of society or the expectations of those around her. She measures herself by her own standards, and she knows that she is more than enough just as she is. This kind of self-sufficiency also gives her the freedom to make choices without fear of judgment. She is not bound by the expectations of others or the pressure to conform. She makes decisions based on what feels right for her, not what others think she should do. This allows her to live authentically, unapologetically, and without compromise. She knows that she is the only one who can determine her path, and she takes full ownership of that responsibility. Over time, this emotional and mental strength becomes a source of attraction for others. People begin to notice her confidence, her ability to stand on her own 2 feet, and her calm, collected demeanor. They are drawn to her because she exudes a kind of quiet power that is rare and magnetic. There is something incredibly compelling about a woman who knows her own worth and doesn't need anyone else to validate it. It's a power that comes from within, and it is impossible to ignore. But despite her strength, this woman is not immune to the challenges of life. She experiences heartbreak, loss, and disappointment just like anyone else. The difference is that she knows how to handle these challenges with grace and resilience. She doesn't allow these challenges to define her. Instead, she uses them as opportunities for growth. She has learned that pain is not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced, processed, and used to build even more strength. She is constantly evolving, constantly learning from her experiences, and constantly becoming more resilient. This self-sufficiency also allows her to maintain a sense of independence, even in relationships. She doesn't enter into relationships seeking to complete herself or fill a void. Instead, she enters relationships as a whole person, fully aware of her own worth and the strength she brings to the table. She doesn't rely on others for her happiness or self-worth, and as a result, her relationships are built on mutual respect and equality. She brings her whole self to the relationship, and she expects the same from her partner. This creates a dynamic that is based on partnership and shared strength rather than dependency and neediness. A woman who is self-sufficient has also learned the importance of taking care of herself. She understands that in order to be there for others, she must first be there for herself. She invests time in her own growth, her own health, and her own well-being. She knows that her strength comes from taking care of herself, physically, emotionally, and mentally. She doesn't neglect her needs or sacrifice her well-being for the sake of others. Instead, she nurtures herself so that she can show up as her best self for those who matter most. Through all of this, she becomes more than just a woman who is capable of handling life on her own. She becomes a force of nature. Her self-sufficiency and inner strength are not just qualities that define her. They are qualities that shape the way she moves through the world. She carries herself with the quiet confidence of someone who knows their worth and is unafraid to stand in their own power. This power is not loud or brash. It's subtle, steady, and undeniable. It's the kind of power that comes from deep within, from a place of knowing that no matter what life throws her way, she has everything she needs to overcome it. And this is what makes her truly dangerous. Because once a woman becomes truly self-sufficient, once she taps into the boundless strength that lies within her, there is nothing that can stop her. She doesn't need anyone's permission, anyone's approval, or anyone's help. She is unstoppable, and that is a force that can change the world. A woman who chooses to spend time alone inevitably develops emotional resilience, an internal fortitude that allows her to navigate life's ups and downs with strength and grace. Resilience is not something one is born with. It's built over time through experience, struggle, and reflection. It's forged in the quiet moments of solitude when the world falls silent and the only voice you can hear is your own. It's during these moments that she confronts the realities of life, its unpredictability, its challenges, and its heartbreaks. A woman who has spent time alone doesn't shy away from difficult emotions. She faces them head on, processes them, and moves through them with a calm assurance that comes from knowing that pain is a temporary visitor, not a permanent resident. Emotional resilience isn't just about enduring hardship. It's about learning to grow from it. A woman who spends time alone learns that life is filled with moments of joy and sorrow, success and failure, love and loss. But none of these moments define her. Instead, it's her ability to rise after a fall, to find peace in the storm that defines her. She understands that emotions, no matter how intense, are temporary. She's been through the cycles of sadness, frustration, and doubt, but she knows they always pass. And with each passing wave of emotion, she becomes stronger, more grounded, and more capable of handling the next challenge life throws her way. This emotional resilience is deeply tied to her sense of independence. When a woman spends time alone, she becomes less reliant on others for emotional support. She learns how to soothe herself in moments of pain, how to calm her racing thoughts, and how to find peace even in the midst of chaos. She develops a toolkit for emotional well-being that doesn't require the validation or support of others. She understands the importance of self-care, of taking time to heal and recharge. She knows that emotional recovery is her responsibility, and she embraces that responsibility fully. Independence, in this sense, doesn't mean cutting herself off from others or refusing to lean on those who care about her. It means that she doesn't rely on anyone else to carry her emotional weight. She is capable of standing on her own, of finding her own way through life's emotional maze. Her independence is the foundation of her emotional resilience. It allows her to maintain her sense of self even in the most difficult moments. She doesn't lose herself in relationships, in disappointments, or in the judgments of others. She stays true to herself, grounded in her own strength and self-worth. But emotional resilience is not something that comes easily. It's built over time and often through adversity. A woman who spends a significant amount of time alone often faces loneliness, isolation, and even self-doubt. She's forced to confront her fears and insecurities without the comfort of constant companionship. Yet, it is in these moments of solitude that she learns her true strength. She discovers that she is capable of handling life's challenges without crumbling, that she has the inner resources to keep moving forward, even when it feels like the weight of the world is on her shoulders. Resilience is not about avoiding pain, but rather learning how to move through it. A woman who has learned emotional resilience knows that pain and hardship are inevitable. She doesn't try to suppress her emotions or pretend that everything is okay when it isn't. Instead, she allows herself to feel what she feels. She acknowledges the hurt, the disappointment, and the frustration, but she doesn't let it consume her. She recognizes that these emotions are temporary, that they will pass, and that they don't define her. And through this process, she becomes more capable of handling the emotional challenges that life continues to throw her way. This emotional independence allows her to maintain a sense of control over her life. She doesn't need someone else to fix her problems or make her feel better. She knows that she is the one who has the power to heal and move forward. This doesn't mean she rejects help or refuses support when needed. It simply means that she doesn't wait for others to validate her emotions or make decisions on her behalf. She takes full responsibility for her emotional well-being, and that gives her a sense of freedom that many people never experience. A woman who is emotionally resilient doesn't just survive life's challenges. She thrives through them. Her independence allows her to see every setback as an opportunity for growth. She doesn't dwell on the past or beat herself up over mistakes. Instead, she looks for the lessons in every experience, knowing that each challenge offers her the chance to learn, evolve, and become stronger. This mindset transforms the way she approaches life. She doesn't see obstacles as things to fear or avoid. Instead, she views them as opportunities to prove to herself just how strong and capable she is. And this resilience is not born from a place of indifference. A woman who is emotionally resilient feels deeply. She doesn't shut down her emotions or detach from the world. Instead, she learns to process her emotions in a healthy way. She knows that feeling deeply is part of being human. She doesn't suppress her sadness, her anger, or her joy. She allows herself to feel fully, but she doesn't let those feelings dictate her actions. She is in control of her emotions, not the other way around. This gives her an incredible sense of peace, as she knows that no matter what life throws at her, she has the ability to navigate it with grace. Her emotional independence also allows her to form healthier relationships. She is not looking to others to complete her or to make her feel whole. She knows that she is already complete. She enters relationships as a whole person with her own sense of self-worth and emotional stability. She doesn't rely on her partner to fulfill emotional needs that she is capable of fulfilling for herself. This makes her relationships more balanced, more genuine, and more fulfilling. She is able to give to others without losing herself in the process. She doesn't need anyone to save her or make her feel valuable. She knows her value and brings that sense of worth into every relationship she forms. This emotional independence also gives her the courage to set boundaries with others. She doesn't let people walk all over her or drain her emotionally. She knows where her limits are, and she isn't afraid to assert them. She doesn't feel guilty for saying no, for prioritizing her own emotional well-being over the demands of others. She understands that taking care of herself is not selfish, it's necessary. Only by maintaining her emotional health can she show up for others in the way that she wants to. She knows that she can't pour from an empty cup, so she takes the time to fill herself up first. Through this process, she becomes emotionally invincible. Her resilience allows her to handle the ups and downs of life with a calm and unwavering determination. She doesn't let setbacks or disappointments shake her confidence. She knows that she has the strength to overcome anything. This emotional resilience becomes a beacon for others. People are drawn to her because they can sense her steadiness, her inner peace, and her ability to stay grounded even in the midst of chaos. She has become a source of strength not only for herself, but for those around her as well. She shows others that it is possible to weather any storm as long as you stay true to yourself and trust in your own ability to bounce back. In the end, her emotional resilience becomes a testament to her inner strength. It's a reflection of her ability to navigate the complexities of life without losing herself along the way. It is this emotional independence that allows her to live fully, to experience the richness of life without being weighed down by the emotional burdens that so many others carry. She has learned that the key to thriving in life is not about avoiding emotional pain, but about learning how to rise from it stronger and more capable than before. A woman who spends significant time alone is a force that cannot easily be predicted. There is a quiet unpredictability about her, an aura that keeps others on edge because they can never quite know what she will do next. This unpredictability is not about being erratic or chaotic. It's about her ability to remain steadfast and true to herself, no matter the expectations or pressures placed on her by others. Her behavior is not dictated by the whims of the people around her. She doesn't follow a predictable pattern that others can rely on. She is her own person, and that makes her enigmatic and at times even dangerous. One of the core aspects of her unpredictability comes from her deep understanding of herself. A woman who spends time alone gets to know her own wants, needs, and desires at a fundamental level. She is constantly evolving, constantly learning new things about herself. This evolution makes her actions, decisions, and behaviors less predictable to others. Those who think they have her figured out often find themselves surprised by her choices, which can be anything from making a bold decision to pursuing a new direction in life. She is not confined by the expectations others place on her, and that keeps her constantly shifting, growing, and surprising the people around her. Her unpredictability is also shaped by her independence. When a woman is self-sufficient and emotionally resilient, she does not rely on others to define her actions. She makes decisions based on what feels right for her, regardless of how others may perceive those choices. This sense of independence means that she is not beholden to the opinions of others. She will not be swayed by the crowd or convinced to follow a path simply because it is the right thing to do. Instead, she charts her own course, guided by her inner compass. This refusal to conform to others' expectations adds an element of mystery and unpredictability to her character. In relationships, her unpredictability can be both a strength and a challenge. Those who seek to know her are often left wondering where they stand. She is not one to be easily categorized or pigeonholed. She is multifaceted, and she shows different sides of herself to different people. While she may allow others into her life, she does not lay everything bare for everyone to see. She is discerning about who she lets in, and even then she retains an element of mystery. She may share parts of herself with one person, only to keep other parts hidden. This ambiguity creates an intriguing dynamic in her relationships, leaving people unsure of where they stand or what to expect next. But this unpredictability is not born from a place of manipulation or cruelty. It is rooted in her understanding of her own needs and her desire to protect herself. A woman who spends time alone learns to trust herself above all else. She becomes deeply attuned to her own emotions and desires, and she knows that she cannot give of herself freely without maintaining certain boundaries. Her unpredictability is a reflection of her refusal to allow others to take her for granted or dictate the terms of her life. She will not be confined by the expectations others have for her, and she will not allow herself to be pushed into a box. Boundaries are the cornerstone of her sense of self-preservation. They are what keep her from losing herself in the demands and desires of others. A woman who spends time alone understands the importance of drawing boundaries, not only with others, but also with herself. She knows her limits, and she is not afraid to enforce them. Whether it's setting emotional boundaries to protect herself from toxic relationships or physical boundaries to ensure her personal space is respected, she understands that her well-being must come first. She is unwavering in this commitment to herself, and that makes her a force to be reckoned with. Her boundaries are not rigid walls meant to keep others out. Rather, they are carefully constructed lines that protect her energy and preserve her sense of self. She recognizes that in order to give to others, whether in a friendship or relationship or any other capacity, she must first take care of her own needs. She is not willing to sacrifice her well-being for the comfort of others. And she doesn't allow anyone to take advantage of her generosity. Those who try to push past her boundaries will quickly find that she is not afraid to assert herself and stand firm in her resolve. The strength of her boundaries lies in their consistency. She does not waver in her commitment to protect herself. She has learned the hard way that boundaries are not something to be negotiated or compromised. If someone disrespects her boundaries, she will distance herself, no matter how difficult it may be. She is not afraid of losing relationships if it means preserving her peace and maintaining her sense of self-worth. This strength is part of what makes her dangerous. She cannot be easily manipulated, controlled, or coerced into bending to the will of others. Those who fail to respect her boundaries will find that she is willing to walk away from them, no matter the cost. But this is not to say that she is emotionally cold or distant. Far from it. She is capable of deep connection, intimacy, and affection, but only with those who respect her boundaries and understand her need for independence. She is selective about the people she allows into her life, and those who earn her trust will find that she is fiercely loyal, compassionate, and supportive. However, she does not give away her loyalty freely. She makes sure that the relationships she invests in are reciprocal, balanced, and built on mutual respect. Her boundaries ensure that her energy is not drained by those who do not value her, and that she is not giving more than she is receiving. Her ability to maintain boundaries is also tied to her emotional resilience. She has learned that without strong boundaries, emotional resilience becomes nearly impossible. If she allows herself to be too open, too vulnerable, or too accommodating, she risks losing herself in the process. Boundaries are what protect her from being overwhelmed by the emotions and expectations of others, that create space for her to maintain her independence and self-sufficiency, ensuring that she does not give up her personal power in the name of connection or approval. This creates a sense of emotional security within her, knowing that she can maintain her sense of self regardless of what others may try to impose upon her. This sense of security and stability gives her the confidence to face the world on her own terms. She is not afraid to make decisions that others might find shocking or unconventional because she knows that her boundaries and sense of self are rock solid. She will not be swayed by societal norms, peer pressure, or the expectations of others. Instead, she will make choices that align with her values and desires, and if others do not understand or agree, she will walk her path alone if necessary. This unwavering commitment to herself and her boundaries makes her unpredictable, and that unpredictability is both empowering and intimidating. She is a woman who cannot be easily contained. Those who think they can control her, manipulate her, or predict her next move will always be left in the dark. Her independence and unpredictability are the result of years of self-reflection, self-discovery, and self-preservation. She has learned the hard way what happens when boundaries are ignored or compromised, and she will never allow herself to fall into that trap again. Her life is hers to control, and she will live it on her own terms. Her unpredictability and ability to enforce boundaries make her a woman to be reckoned with. She is a force that cannot be easily tamed, and that is what makes her both powerful and dangerous. She knows who she is, what she needs, and what she will not tolerate. And she is unwavering in her commitment to herself. This makes her unpredictable, mysterious, and above all, free. She is a woman who will never be anyone's puppet, and that is what makes her one of the most formidable forces in the world.